All right, hello everyone. This is Leon Cruz for the Intense Apex Alpha Male blog, podcast, and website. And today we're interviewing our good friend Freddie from Stop the Left. Today's April the 9th, 2017, and it's been a while we haven't spoken to him. What you're looking at right now is a brand new man. He's actually married now. You'll be able to catch him at, tell us your handle, Freddie.
So I'm like you said, I'm a brand new man. I recently got married to my girlfriend who I've been with since I was 15 years old. So we tied the knot, and yeah, I'm still doing my thing on Stop the Left, and I'm happy to be back on your show.
Okay, and you're on Instagram, Stop the Left, right? What's your tag on Instagram?
So Instagram is Stop the Left, and there's underscores in between the words. So it's Stop underscore the underscore left,
Okay, and
and
right.
that's my most I guess you can say active platform. So if you're gonna find me, it's on Instagram. I don't have Facebook. I have Twitter, which I don't like much, but Instagram is where I'm at, where I do all my videos and stuff.
Okay, great, great. So you went to Trump Tower yesterday to meet the girl that had the Trump dress. What's her name again?
Uh, Joy Villa. So I actually went on her Instagram and I saw that she had an event like a meet and greet thing.
Right.
So it would be a good idea to attend. Basically network with other people who live in New York City who I guess are kind of like-minded like us. So that's what we went. We went. She was very nice, very nice, and she sat with us. We spoke. We took pictures, and we actually posted up a video where she says she enjoys our content on Stop the Left. So that was very good.
No, that's great. That's great. Yeah. So you've been very busy, very busy. I noticed you went to another event. This was in, I think, January, where they were protesting Trump, right?
It was actually in March. It was early
March.
March.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was very cold, and it was actually a pro-Trump protest, believe it or not. And so we went. We were there in support of President Trump, and of course you had people who weren't, who didn't like the fact that we support our president. So they were there, basically counter protesting and stuff. And yeah, so I just trolled them. I pretended to be one of them. They were actually singing anti-Trump songs, so I pretended to lead their choir.
I
And,
saw that. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
so that's on my Twitter and my Instagram. But it was funny. I mean, we had a good time. It's good to see that even in New York City, if we get together, we can actually outnumber these thugs.
So now I want to get your opinion on the most recent events that are taking place. I remember reading in your Instagram post, as well as I said this myself, even though we supported Trump, we will hold his feet to the fire when he does, things that we don't agree with. What is your opinion on him ordering the missile strikes in Syria against Assad?
So, okay, that I've been going around that issue for since it, took place. I can say I disagree with it completely. Just like you said, just because it's Trump, just because we voted for him, does not mean we have to agree with everything he does. And this is something that I'm completely opposed to. As far as the Syria thing, I mean, you actually texted me when it happened, and you told me you listed everyone who is in agreement with Trump, and you have people like Chuck Schumer, John McCain, Rubio, Hillary Clinton who actually support these airstrikes, and that's not a good company to have. When you have people like that who are supporting your foreign policy, and we look at someone like Clinton whose foreign policy is horrible, and she's actually in support of what you're doing, it goes to show that you're funding this agenda, this pro-war agenda, but on the other hand, I also have to look at the options that Trump had. For example, what is he always being accused of? Of being pro-Russia, of meddling politics with Putin and Russia, and and getting into bed with the Russians. So if Trump had not done anything, the mainstream media would have attacked him and said, well, he's not doing anything because he's not gonna attack his friend Putin, who has a lot of interest in Syria. Now, if he did do something, he's a warmonger. So it's pretty much a loss situation for President Trump. So he decided to launch airstrikes, which I don't agree with, but we'll just have to wait and see what happens.
Well, that's a good take on it. My take on it is like this. He has half of his cabinet are CFR members, Council on Foreign Relations, and that list that I sent you of all the people that are for what he did are all globalists. The media is also in the back pocket of the globalists. The rhinos and the liberals are the useful idiots for the globalists. Basically,
Right.
what they're doing is trying to oust Assad because he's not playing ball with them. If you notice, there's a post that I put on my Instagram account giving all the causes as to why they want to get rid of Assad. He has no deficit in his country. He wants to print his own money. He wants to get out out of the dollar. You notice they're using the American dollar. He doesn't want to do that. He's actually protecting, even though he's not a good guy, but he's actually protecting Christians as well. And he's staving off ISIS, you see? And as you and I
Right.
both know, ISIS is a creation of the United States to destabilize, to help destabilize the Middle East. That's what the whole civil war at Aleppo was all about. You can Google that as well, okay?
Right.
So we're beginning to see also that the reason why Putin and Assad are friends is because they want to stabilize that area and they hate ISIS. You see? And technically we had no business there. And to try to egg us on to go to war or to bomb them, they're throwing us the dead children or the gasping children scenario at us. And they always seem to do that whenever they want us to go to war. On top of
Right.
that, he didn't ask Congress, he didn't get the permission from Congress to go to war.
Right. So, yeah, you make very good points with that. And some of these pictures that you said of these children, I don't know if you actually saw them. There's reports that some of these pictures have actually been staged and some of these videos have been staged. For example, the first responders, when they responded to this attack, you know, they weren't even wearing any protective gear. And if they had come like that and if it was actually a chemical attack, you know, they would have been dead, just like with the people that were laying there. So there's a lot of, you know, shady things going on when it comes to this this attack. But like you said, this is basically like a neocon action because those airstrikes in Syria, they're not for the benefit of United States citizens. They're not for the benefit of the United States. So I don't see any reason as to why we should have done that. And I understand some people are saying peace through strength, but it just doesn't make sense to me. I mean, we're at the point where we need to focus, right, we need to focus on America first. We can't police the world. I understand that that's our natural role. Well, I wouldn't say natural role, but that's the role we've been given. And to some extent, I believe we should be, you know, we should play a part in foreign politics and things like that. But at the moment, we should be taking care of America first. And what we're doing in Syria, it doesn't make sense to me.
Plus, that's a banker's war. You know, the reason why they wanted to destabilize that area, first, it was Iraq, then Afghanistan, now Libya, and keep in mind, they're going to go over to Iran and Lebanon, that whole entire area. Now, I'm 100% for Israel, no question about that, but you have to understand that the Zionists are the ones in control of Israel, and they're not good guys, nor do they represent the Jewish people. They too are globalists, they too want to destabilize that region. And it's interesting because most places that are like our country, sort of like a representative republic, they call it democracies.
Right.
They say that's the only democracy there. They seem to be playing this crap. And well, I do understand it. It's basically for world domination. Basically, it's what it is.
Right, and you look at all those places that you mentioned, regime change has not benefited those countries whatsoever. It was the same thing in Iraq that we said this guy was gassing his own people, and then we found no proof of that. Libya too, it eventually fell, you know, and the results weren't no good. So we should see history repeating itself when it comes to Syria. It's not good when we, you know, when we take out leaders. And some people will use the whole, well, if the U.S. isn't involved, then who's going to step up? You know, they'll throw in the World War II stuff where they'll say, well, if no one stepped in to save the Jews, then who would have? But it's not the same scenario here. You know, it's not. We didn't fight World War II to liberate Jews. That's not what we did. That was a byproduct, unfortunately. But, you know, like I said, we should play a part in foreign politics. But right now, at the moment, that's not our place. That's not our place. Our country has deeper issues and more troubles that we should be focused on. Plus, another thing, Trump didn't run on that platform. He ran on a different platform where he said that he was going to let the world take care of itself and America came first. Once again, this strike, no one can prove that this strike benefited United States citizens or the U.S. or put us in a better position in the world. It didn't.
And the funny thing is if Obama would have done this, everybody would be against it. This is
Thank you.
his war. You know that.
Thank you. Right, right. It is his war, but like you said, that's a good point you bring up, and it's to the point you said when we started the conversation that just because we voted for Trump does not mean we're going to turn a blind eye to the things that he does wrong. If this was Barack Obama, 2 years ago, we would be throwing a fit. But because it's Trump, suddenly it becomes okay. What happened to being anti-war? What happened to not meddling in foreign politics? What happened to America first? Suddenly people change their ideals just to basically fit what Trump is doing. And you shouldn't do that. Be yourself. Trump is a human being. He's going to make mistakes. That's that. Your ideals shouldn't change just because he has different policies that don't agree to what you believe.
That's correct. And it seems like a lot of the Trump supporters are no different than the Obama supporters. They'll follow him to the ends of the earth, straight off a cliff.
Right. And that's the thing because they don't understand. I tweeted it out when this happened. I said 24 hours ago, people were calling Trump God Almighty. And we know there's only one God. It's not Trump. Now, when he launched this airstrike, people were taken back because they didn't expect him to do that. And now they're suddenly starting to realize that he's a human being. And, he ran on this anti-politician platform, but regardless, he's the president. He's a politician now, whether you want to accept it or not. He's surrounded by other politicians, not very good politicians. So he's become infected with the disease that all politicians get infected with. I'm sorry to say it. He's already in office. He's a politician, whether you want to accept it or not. He's just as bad as the others. I'm sorry to say it. It's the truth. And I know a lot of people will say, well, you're supposed to be supporting him. No, I support him by giving him constructive criticism. I want him to do well. But when he does something that I'm not in agreement with, what I don't agree with, then I'll call him out on it. That's constructive criticism.
I agree with you 100%. The Bible says that Jesus said that don't put your faith in men because they're going to fail you. You see, you only put your faith in God. Now, the only reason why we voted for Trump was because, number one, well, I personally like Trump as a businessman, and he is an alpha male. But, you see, he ran on trying to do the complete opposite of what Hillary would do. But the problem
Right.
there is that he went back on his word. By attacking Syria, you're stroking the back of the Russians, and quite possibly this can lead to a third world war. On top of that, I just found out today that their special ops missions are going to North Korea. Now, what's that all about? You see,
Right.
when you start to hear rumors like this, all you have to do is study World War II and how that started. It started similar. Only thing is that the United States stood out of it until Pearl Harbor. Unfortunately, in this case, the United States is acting like the bad guys because they're actually supporting the bad guys.
Right. And it makes sense. And you mentioned North Korea. I just want to say this now. Those guys can't touch us. They don't have the capabilities to reach us. So these wars start out of fear, and it's basically the mainstream media that will put fear in the citizens' hearts and say, well, North Korea is trying to attack us. In reality, we can blow them out of the water in 45 minutes.
Yeah, I agree with you.
So nobody wants war, but when you actually study, when you actually see their capabilities, they're not capable of touching us. I mean, I believe we should keep an eye on them, but to actually try to interfere and to actually try to, God knows what they're thinking to do with North Korea. To actually think that you can go into another country and kill a leader without looking like the bad guy just makes no sense to me. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, the last leader they took out was Gaddafi. You remember that, right?
Yeah, that was in 2011. Yeah, I remember that. The video that came out where they basically left them in the streets to perish.
Yeah, they shot him in the head. One of the citizens just shot him. But you see, even though these people were not, these dictators are not that great, one thing that they did do is keep their societies in order. They hated terrorism and they hate Hamas and ISIS, you see?
Right.
By destabilizing these areas, like right now, the missile attacks took out the protection of a Christian community. Now it's going to be open season on them.
Right, and they say that ISIS is actually celebrating these attacks. Now, let me ask you another question. Where do we draw the line as to who's a dictator we should take out and who isn't?
Correct.
The U.S., and I'm sorry to say it, I don't want to seem like I'm criticizing this great country, but our foreign policy kind of sucks because where do we draw the line when it comes to who's a dictator and who is not? You know, the clip that you showed in your last podcast with the I don't know who the guy was, but he had a very good point. We send money to Saudi Arabia. We send arms to Saudi Arabia, and they're one of the biggest human rights violators in the whole world. Mm-hmm. They say they don't behead people anymore, but they still give lashes in public. They still cut off the hands of people who steal. You know, things like that. Why aren't we considering that a dictatorial state that should be taken out? Why, you know, someone like Assad, who is not a nice guy, like you said, we consider him a dictator who needs to be taken out because I guess you say he gas his own people. But look at North Korea. The guy puts them in camps where they never see the light of day again. He drags them across the streets tied to the back of trucks, you know, and drags them. So what do we consider a dictator? I guess it just depends on who's playing ball and who's not. That's just how I see it. Because if we had this mentality that we have to police the world, then we'd be involved in every single country's affairs. Because there's a bunch of dictators out there that I can mention. Look at Venezuela. That guy's a dictator. But yet we're not talking about taking him out. So I just don't know where the U.S. draws the line as to who is bad, who is good, and who needs to be taken out. I don't know who makes that decision, but whoever's making it is not very good at it.
I agree with you, Freddie. The answer is simple. If you really look into it, there's the shadow government. It's the bankers. It's the military-industrial complex. We learned that one of those missiles costs how much? I put that information up on my Instagram.
Oh man, I think it was 18 million, I believe, or I don't remember the number. 18 million, right? Something around that figure was 18 million.
And he shut out how many of those? 56 of those?
Like 56 tomahawks. Yeah.
So you know that the military-industrial complex is making heavy cheddar. You know that, right?
Right, but then again, this also makes sense because then he also increased the budget to the military. So it's, you know, you're kind of, you know, you gotta follow the trail, like you said. You gotta actually study and see. I mean, I'm all for giving, you know, veterans raises and things like that, but you know, all of that money isn't just going to the people who are fighting the wars. Those are going to, like you said, the bankers. Those are going to the people who have defense contracts and things like that. So it's not all going to our veterans. So when I criticize the military budget, I'm not criticizing a raise for veterans. I'm criticizing that money going to defense contractors who, you know, want to see war because then they get big contracts and that's how they get rich off of war.
Yeah, you're correct. And the funny thing is, you see, again, I've been studying Trump, and if Trump really wanted to affect change, there are two major things he should do, which he's not going to do, which is get rid of the Federal Reserve because they're the ones causing all these problems, okay?
Right.
And number two, destroy the Patriot Act. Use it as bathroom toilet paper. Get rid of it. We already have a constitution. But he's not going to do that. He's not going to do that.
Right, and he's not going to do it because, like I said, he, at this point, is already a politician. He has become infected with the disease that affects all politicians, which is corruption. I mean, just because you're not taking money on the side doesn't mean you're not corrupt. If you go back on your word, if you make a promise and don't complete it, if you completely do a 180, you're a corrupt person because you lied to people in order to get their vote, and now you're doing something else. And the reason why he won't get rid of the Patriot Act, like you said, is because he recently signed, well, he's considering, I'm not sure if he signed it yet, but they're saying it's going to go through, where now basically companies can sell our information and our web history to other companies so they can advertise to us. And they're saying that Trump is, I'm not sure at this point, so I'm not going to go ahead and say he did, but initial reports were that he is looking to sign that it's going to go through. So everything you do on the web is now basically monitored and is now basically collected and sold to other companies so they can market to you. But you're actually, you know, that's very dangerous because it might seem innocent. Oh, they just want to market you. They just want to see what your interests are to sell you a product. But when you start collecting information like that, it's opening the door to other things. And that's why I'm very concerned. And the fact that I'm hearing reports that he might sign it or already signed it, I'm not sure what he's done at this point.
Okay, Freddie, hold that thought. We're going to go to commercial break. I'll be right back.
All right. Okay.
Perhaps the moon knows the secret of the new sound.
He's so bright and pull on his emphasis. He's so bright. bright and he walking on my face. He's so bright and
Open your mind. Let us begin our quest to find the new sound.
I've got new Lacy Zuzu. I've got thrice. Look at the shine, everything we need. Zuzu. I've got new Lacy Zuzu. Okay.
Hey everyone, this is Leon Cruz for the Intense Apex Alpha Male blog, podcast, and website. And I want to introduce you to one of our new sponsors called Red Monkey, which is a nootropic supplement. Red Monkey is one of many of the class of supplements known as red supplements. So out of that category, I'd like to talk to you about a specific one, which is the one I just mentioned, Red Monkey. What exactly is Red Monkey? Red Monkey is a potent blend of nootropics and cognitive enhanced ingredients that work together to increase your mood and kill social anxiety. The several potent nootropics in Red Monkey specifically work by targeting and improving the efficiency of neurotransmitters in the brain. The end result is improved cognitive function, memory, creativity, and motivation, and decreased anxiety and stress. Now, some of the ingredients in Red Monkey consist of N-acetyl-L-creatine, which is a nootropic, improves irritability and anxiety levels. Bokpa Maneri, which boosts memory, cognitive ability, and brain health. 5-HTP, which is also another nootropic, which promotes relaxation, boosts mood, and alleviates stress, as well as enhances focus, reduces anxiety and depression. It also contains L-theanine, which increases dopamine levels and improves mood, boosts focus, memory, and brain health, and reduces stress and anxiety. And another nootropic ingredient, Rhodia rosa, reduces fatigue, boosts concentration, and alleviates stress. And a main one, which has been getting a lot of media attention, Phenibut. That's Phenibut. The only ingredient in Red Monkey that isn't a nootropic, and this ingredient in particular is what is largely responsible for the amazing relaxation and stress anxiety relieving benefits of Red Monkey. So, if you want to try Red Monkey, go to my website www.intenseapexalphamale.com and give it a try. Once you try it, my advice would be to use it at least once every 7 days so that the body does not get accustomed to it, and only use it when you feel fatigued with a cup of coffee on an empty stomach in the morning. And depending on the size of the person, start out with 2 capsules in the morning, and again 2 capsules at lunchtime. If you feel no effect, the following week I would advise you to try 4 capsules in the morning on an empty stomach with coffee, and then wait about an hour before you have breakfast, and then at noon you take the other 4. Also keep in mind, do not exceed 8 capsules in one particular day. Okay, so once you do that, make sure you're doing it on a day you need it the most, where you're going to focus on your training, working out, or you have some big projects you're working on. This product will help you stay focused, will take away the sleepiness, and keep you actually being creative. Your mind will begin to focus and increase your cognitive skills and creativity. So once again, if you want to try out Red Monkey, which is one of our new sponsors, I personally use it. I use 4 capsules in the morning and 4 capsules in the afternoon. If you want to try it, go to www.intenseapexalphamale.com and let me know what you think. Thank you, and God bless you.
The new sound.
Welcome back to our second segment. We're here with Freddie from Stop the Left, and we're discussing the actions Trump took this past week.
Okay.
Okay. So now, one thing I want to do, Freddie, I'm going to play a clip from Michael Savage's show, and I want to hear what your opinion is on what he's saying, okay?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I
intend to approach today's program as though this is a jury trial, and I hope that you, the listeners, will be the jury. My postulate is quite simple. Want to hear it? Because you're going to hear it. This was not sarin gas, number one. It looks like phosgene gas. I realize those are big words for those in the media who are ready to put on military uniforms on their radio and television shows. This was a complete false flag event. And I'll give you some evidence, and you decide for yourself whether this thing is a fake or not. First of all, let's start from the beginning. Was this a strategic move that had the approval of Congress, approval of the UN? Were any U.S. interests threatened by Assad? Assad was fighting ISIS, for God's sakes. He had ISIS on the run with the help of Russia. What happened? Who just won? Why, we just helped ISIS. Isn't that what McCain and Lindsey Graham are celebrating? So we've just turned 180 degrees. Bannon was out, Kushner was in, and all of a sudden the strike was launched. I told that to you yesterday. This was a military tweet by Donald Trump. Quote me. President, known as a tweeter. This was a military tweet. Has he thought about what the next tweet might be? He better, because there's...
Okay, Freddie, what's your opinion? Now notice he starts his show by pointing out that this was a false flag operation. And he's distinguishing the two types of gases that are the media is throwing at us, but he's pointing out that the one that they say that was supposedly used was not the one that's banned by the UN. What's your take on that?
Well, it makes sense because, like I mentioned earlier, if it had been sarin gas, like I said, those first responders would be dead because of what they were wearing. Some of them were actually wearing sandals. You can look up the pictures. They're wearing sandals as they're giving, first aid to the victims and stuff. And like he says, it just doesn't make sense as to why Assad would do this, knowing that the world already hates him thanks to the mainstream media. Knowing he's public enemy number one, why would he go and do this and put himself in this situation where now everyone's agreeing to missile strikes into his country? So you have to be very, skeptical as to this whole situation because it's fishy. And another point that I think Savage brought up was the fact that, he said, I'm going to handle this like a jury trial. Trump did not handle this like a jury trial because Putin called for a UN investigation to see if Assad was actually responsible. And Putin said himself, well, the Kremlin, the White House of Russia, they said, we support Assad, but our support for him is not unconditional. So had he gassed his own people, maybe we would change our position on Assad. But conduct an investigation first. That was not done. And isn't the UN supposed to be there to do things like this whenever there's, human rights violations? Shouldn't they be there to step in and, like I said, conduct the investigation? And they didn't. So there's a lot of things that were missed when it came to this, this supposed chemical attack. And like you said, he's not the nicest guy, but it just wouldn't make sense. Being that he's already hated to go and do this, it doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't make sense at all. On top of that, Michael Savage said that this is a false flag, meaning that a lot of what we're being told in the media is just a lie to garnish sympathy so that we can go to war with a country that the globalists just want out of the way. Basically, that's what it is. And the funny thing is that I've read in Facebook, this is being reported on, and also Instagram. And a lot of the people who support Trump don't understand that there's a global elite that wants to basically dismantle and take away the sovereignties of many countries and make them into one solid country.
Right, and that's the problem because a lot of, people, like you said, are starting to look like the Obama supporters back in 2008, where they're basically blinded to what everything their president does. And like I said, I try to bring, fresh ideas. I try to talk to the other side. I try to see what they're talking about. So to see us behave like blind fools, it just doesn't make sense to me. It sucks because we're taking a step back. We're supposed to be the ones who vet these politicians. We're supposed to be the ones who put them in check. And not to say, 3 months ago, I was tweeting that we shouldn't go into Syria. And, today we're going into Syria. And it's the same thing. It's like these people follow. 5 months ago, you were on Instagram talking about we should stay out of it. We should let the Russians handle it. And all of a sudden, now you want to, invade Syria, or you want to launch missiles into Syria. It just doesn't make sense. Why are people shifting their ideals because of a mistake? This is a mistake.
Exactly.
But that doesn't mean we have to own up to it. It's not our mistake. If we call out Trump, we are automatically saying, listen, we don't agree with this. We are not on board with this. But why?
Perhaps the moon knows the secret of the new sound.
He's so bright and pull on this emphasis. He's so bright and
What if you could carry a gun on you, so hidden, it was like the footsteps of a Navy SEAL? Millions of people are like you. They're not willing to be the victim of a bully, and they carry a gun to prove it. They don't want anyone to know it's there. They don't want it digging in their stomach or side all day. They don't want it to be complicated. They just want it to be on them and with immediate access in a dire situation. That's why we developed the Urban Carry. With thousands of reviews from people like you saying it is the only holster that is completely concealed, comfortable all day, and has an unparalleled pull-up draw, we're proud knowing millions of people are protected because of it. Still, at Urban Carry, we wanted it even better, so we focused here and listened. Then we developed the new G2, making the Urban Carry easier, faster, and more secure. The G2 uses a custom steel clip which passed the heavy pull test of a stressful situation, allowing the Urban Carry to now quickly secure your firearm on you with a belt or without. Simply clip, pull, and draw. The new design now channels your firearm directly to your hand, creating a smooth and rapid draw every time. With the G2, the leather is even more supple before leaving our facility, quickly form-fitting to a custom shape around your firearm. We also added a powerful magnet at the base to further bond the firearm to the holster while commanding a superior draw. Like many concealed holsters, the Urban Carry is not designed to work with tightly worn pants. Large baggy clothes are not required. Traditional pants, slacks, shorts, and jeans work best. The unique Urban Carry conceals the firearm below the waistline, allowing it to be comfortable while sitting as it flows with your body naturally. The draw is similar to any concealed holsters where you clear the shirt and draw the firearm. Whether your shirt is in or out, it is the same muscle memory to clear the shirt and draw the firearm. If a situation requires a one-handed draw, the firearm can easily be retrieved. The G2 is made for men and women of any size, right or left-handed, all while providing the exclusive benefits of total concealment, all-day comfort, and rapid drawing. You did not ask for this fight. In an unspeakable crisis forced on you and your family, you're empowered to be the first responder, and you can draw suddenly, knowing your firearm is reliably secure and always there for your protection. The Urban Carry is still proudly 100% made in America using premium saddle-grade leather, making it breathable and easy to wear while still maintaining a strong, lifelong durability. The G2 also has built-in ECR compatibility for any ECR-enabled lasers, so your laser turns on instantly when drawn and off automatically when holstered. The exclusive Urban Carry is the only holster that has an upward rapid draw, comfortable to wear all day while completely concealing your firearm. The new Urban Carry G2 is available now at urbancarryholsters.com.
Okay, Freddie. So it seems like we kind of froze up there. Such is the case with Skype, right? And
Yeah, so
this
those things
technology.
usually happen.
Yeah. So you were saying about the war, not the war, but the bombings that Trump did. You don't agree with them, as do I.
Right. So basically, what I was getting into, I don't know how far I got cut off. I was going on an epic rant, and then Skype saw it and said, "No, we're not gonna allow you to do that." But no. So basically, what I was saying is that, listen, they're politicians. They're in it for them. I said it at the beginning. I'll say it again just to remind people. Trump is now a politician. He is now surrounded by politicians. That's all he sees is politics. So unfortunately, he ran on the campaign where he's not a politician, where he's anti-establishment, and now he's behaving like he's establishment. Just because he made a mistake, just because he went ahead and bombed Syria, doesn't mean I'm anti-Trump. I still support the guy. I still want to see him do well, just like I wanted to see Obama do well, which of course wasn't going to happen. But because it's our country that's at stake, we want to see them do well. We want to see our leaders actually fulfill their promises, and when they don't, we have to call them out on it. We cannot be like the mainstream media. We have to be, the people who are there keeping them in check. If we do the bidding of the mainstream media, then we're no better than them, because we're basically saying yes, yes, yes to Trump and everything he does, and these things get overlooked. So all I'm saying is, to whoever's listening, to your followers, to my followers, is be yourself. Be yourself. If you have a certain ideal, we can have a conversation about it. But don't change your ideals because of one man, because of one politician. Don't do that. Be yourself. You have your own ideals, your own morals, your own politics, and that's that. That's who you are.
Do you believe that Trump is in the back pocket of the Zionists?
Me. I never really try to categorize people. A lot of people use words like Zionist. People will say the Jewish banker. I just see people as I like the word globalist, because that throws everyone in there. Because you don't necessarily have to be a Zionist to be a globalist.
But
You can be a globalist.
But a Zionist has nothing to do with Jewish. You know that. Zionists are the NWO who quote unquote support Israel, but they don't. Their goal is to basically make them look worse and worse. The Zionists are basically globalists. That's what they are. So you prefer the word globalists?
Yeah, I do.
It's less confusing.
It's that too, and it's when you look at these, unfortunately we still have them, these far right neo-Nazi accounts, they'll go ahead and throw that word like it's candy, say Zionists, the Jewish bankers, and the Jew. But like you said, those people don't represent the average Jew that goes to synagogue. They don't represent that.
Always remember something, Freddie. Zionists are to the Jews what Nazism is to the Germans. Okay, just because you hate Nazis, they're not associated with the Germans. It just happens that some Germans happen to be Nazis, right?
Right.
Right, and it's the same thing with the Zionists. Real Jews hate the Zionists.
Of
Jews,
course.
yeah.
But what I'm saying to you is that, unfortunately, some people have trouble making that distinction. Some people will
it's
throw...
mushed in there.
Yeah, and it just sucks, because listen, if you're a good person, I don't care your background. I don't care if you happen to be Jewish, if you're Jewish or Hispanic, or, I don't care. You're a human being. But if you're also a messed up person, and I was almost going to curse on your show, but I'm not going to do it. If you're, we'll use the word messed up. If you're a messed up person, that's you as a person. But, a lot of these people, like you said, especially the far right neo-Nazi crowd, they'll throw a Zionist in with a Jew, and they'll say, well, it's all Jews who want to run the world. No, the Jew that goes to synagogue is not the same, Zionist that wants to, like you said, take over the world or create instability in the Middle East. It's not the same. But going back to your question, we got off track here. But going back to your question, if he's in the pocket, I couldn't say for sure, but due to his past actions, I would say yeah. And only because, once again, he's already a politician at this point. Everyone who makes it that far, doesn't do it just based on the votes of the people. There has to be a force that's controlling them behind closed doors that gave them that push.
Yeah, I agree with you. Time will tell. So far, he started out doing really great things.
Of course.
And then he completely did a 180 with this attack. Now, keep in mind, his foreign policy is different than his domestic policies. But in the grand scheme of things, what good are domestic policies when you're driving us into quite possibly a third world war? Right?
Right. And he's not perfect. We knew this in coming in the primaries. I don't know who you supported in the primaries. I was always a Ted Cruz guy.
Me too. But I like Ted Cruz.
Yeah, but he was kind of a weasel.
He would have lost. Yeah, he would have lost against Hillary. She would have chewed him up. Because see, Trump, the way he came on is the way a real man is supposed to come on.
Right.
You say it like it is, and But unfortunately, even a lot of conservatives like Ben Shapiro and Mark Levin, they didn't agree with him because we all know that Trump is not a conservative. He's not. He's actually a liberal.
Right.
So is his daughter. So is his family. He's just wearing the R in front of him to get elected.
Exactly, and I'm glad you're able to notice it. That's why we have these conversations. R or D in front of your name means nothing. You have to look at the person's actions. And lately, there's been some things that I don't agree with, and I'm not going to keep my mouth shut about it. For example, the fact that his son-in-law is in there and Bannon is out. That's not this something that I agreed with. So I posted that on Twitter. A couple people disagreed, some people agreed, but that's just what you're gonna get. You're gonna get conversation. Don't be afraid to have that conversation with others. If you disagree with me on an issue, why can't we talk about it? Why do you have to try to basically shift your ideals to what the other person thinks just to keep him as a friend? It's just the whole thing with Trump. Like you said, we're starting to become like Obama supporters back in 2008, and I don't like it. I don't like it. That's not how we won this election.
Yeah, you and I.
Right, and that's not. Exactly, and that's how we won the election. I mean, we got to go back to the basics. Trump ran on an anti-establishment, on an anti-mainstream media platform. Now he has to start behaving like the candidate that he was in the primaries and in the general election. And based on this past missile strike, I don't think he's acting like that.
Yeah. And I also heard Mike Cernovich backtrack on him as well. The same thing with Paul Joseph Watson. Yeah.
Surprisingly enough, you mentioned Ben Shapiro. He actually, I listened to the show after the strikes. He's kind of in favor of the strikes. I mean, he figures that, there's also the other side that says, Obama drew a red line and did nothing when, Assad overstepped his boundaries. And, Trump is actually drawing a red line and he means it. But like I said, it just depends on how you see America when it comes to the global scale, how you see America on the world scale. I mean, do you believe that we should be policing the world, or do you believe we should just keep to ourselves? The latter. I believe we should keep to ourselves.
Yeah, and also keep in mind that Ben Shapiro and Mark Levin will consider you and I conspiracy theorists when we throw around the word globalism and the global elite. So
right.
That's why if you listen to Ben Shapiro, he was kind of like in favor of the bombing. Most people who are in favor of the bombing do not see the big picture. If you try to tell them the big picture, they'll look at you as a kook.
Right. So now that's true that you mentioned Ben Shapiro. That's a good point because he actually went ahead. He's not a fan of Alex Jones at all.
No.
Because obviously, like you said, he calls him a conspiracy theorist,
which
in a way, which I can see, the Alex Jones thing. Okay, he might be off the deep end for some people. Fine. Now he calls that Michael Savage. He calls him unhinged, and he calls him the rich man's version of Alex Jones. So it just goes to see where he stands. I mean, which is funny. Yeah, it's funny, but Michael Savage on the show, he actually provided good proofs and heard that show that you played. He actually provided a good, argument as to why he believes this was a false flag. And if you look at Michael Savage, he has evolved because before he wouldn't talk about things like false flags and things like that. He would actually call people idiots whenever they would mention it. And now he's starting to see that there might be a shadow government that's actually controlling everything that goes on behind the scenes.
Of course, any intelligent person can see that. I mean, all of this is coming out now. Look at the spying. Look at the 8,000-page WikiLeaks from Assange. I forgot the name of it. It's something 7. It's called the document that was released, showing us that the CIA and the FBI not only spy on us, but the equipment that we're buying for our homes, the smart TVs and all that. The smart TV specifically has what's called Operation Crying Angel. They even gave it a title so that these companies can create these TV to spy on Americans. You see? Now, how is that conspiratorial? I mean, all you have to do is just open your eyes and see what's going on. And also you have to understand prophecy and the Word of God, which many of them don't care for or believe.
Right. And even then, I mean, even without, it's just common sense. I mean, us being conservatives, we're naturally introverts. I said it. I mean, it's going to come to a point in time where we have to step out of our boundaries and actually, push back. That's what we did this last election, which is good. But, we're natural introverts, and you should just see based on the technology and how it's advancing. I mean, it's good. It makes things simpler. It makes things easier. But then when you allow things like letting, AT&T or Verizon sell your data, it's opening a door to something that it's unknown. I mean, we don't know where it might lead to. Pretty soon we'll have the whole, government is allowed to spy on you, which we already have, which they have this mentality that is, if you're not doing anything wrong, you have nothing to worry about. That's not the point. The point is that you shouldn't be spying on me, period.
Correct.
And, Constitution says you need a warrant to see things like my web history or look into my computer. But now they're openly selling your information. But we're also to blame because, like you said, these things are in the disclaimers. These things are in the terms and conditions. And, some of us won't read it. I personally won't read it. You're going to sit there and read 900 pages? No. But it'll lay it out. It'll say some of the things you search are sold to third parties, and your information is out there, and then we're vulnerable to things like identity theft and things like that. So it's a whole issue, and as technology advances, sadly, we see these things.
Yeah. Okay, Freddie. So I'm gonna end this interview, but I gotta tell you, I really enjoyed talking with you, and I have to have you on more often because you do so many exciting things, and you're up on so many topics that I want to get your opinion. And I know you're a married man now, so I figure maybe once a month or twice a month would be okay, right?
I'll definitely have to take you out to one of those protests and things like that, or meet and greets. You have to come out. The people want to see you in one of my videos, and I want to give you a shout out. It's fun, and you're a big guy, so you'll provide a lot of good security in case things go wrong, because sometimes we need it. So we'll definitely keep in touch, and it's been fun.
Absolutely, absolutely. So until we talk again, Freddie, God bless you, and I hope to see you soon. All right?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Don't go anywhere. I'm gonna stop the recording now.